Well, hello and welcome back again to Proud Primerican Productions. I'm your host and instructor, Glenn H. Boyd, the Proud Primerican. Today, we're going to get back into the foundations that we've been building on. Today, covering insurance, but answering some key questions. And so, of course, we're going to be still using frames. Of course, we talked about frames last time. We've done a lot with indemnify. If you guys can remember, we talked about this being part of the pillar that allows you to go into a home and have that family find confidence in you, which allows them to be willing to follow you. This will simply make somebody whole, right? We're doing what no one else is doing. We're going into a household and we're showing that family that our focus, again, is not to sell them a policy or any product. We're there to solve problems. This alone will help you do a lot. Now, as we start, we talked about KISS. All of these simple strategies, right? Keep it simple strategies are designed so that you gain the confidence through the competence that you're gaining to share with others. They see in you what they believe they can do. That's how you grow. Your crusade begins. So we're talking about keep it simple strategies. We talked about the foundation being buy, term, and investor difference. Again, all of these little frames, you're locking in your brain so you remember buy, term, and investor difference. That's our whole concept that lays the foundation for all the plans we put together. We talked about all insurance being term insurance, right? There is no other type of insurance. Every policy that you issue provides two things: protection and, of course, a cost. We talked about those things, those two elements being coverage, how much you're protected for, cost, what is it costing you premium-wise, right? We dripped through those things. And then, of course, we looked at the three basic types of term insurance that exist. We talked about level term insurance, where you have both your premium and protection staying the same. We talked about decreasing term insurance, where you had premiums being level, but of course the insurance decreasing year after year. And then we talked about the annual renewable term or increasing term insurance, whereby you have insurance that's going to have the protection stay level, but because you're getting older every year, the premium is going up every year. We're showing you how to use those in conjunction with a comprehensive plan where if you're covering a mortgage or you're covering an income or you're covering kids' education, blended together, right? This customized program gives you a chance to do everything you need when you need to do it at the greatest cost, at the least cost, the most cost-effective way to do so. And so today we want to move into continuing to build on that foundation, right? Buy, term, investor difference. But we know a lot of people may have questions a lot of times as far as why is the insurance first? Why is it that the insurance is the first thing we focus on? And that's a great question. Well, reason being is if we're talking about proper protection, debt freedom, eventually getting rid of all our debts eliminated over time, and then of course financial independence as we move to our retirement, the saving or eliminating of debt takes time, and the saving and investing takes time. The one thing no one can tell you when you're going to die. So that's the thing we must immediately take care of, right? And so there are some questions. Again, go on Amazon, get the books, right? The Whole Truth About Primerica and The Whole Truth About Whole Life. These are sort of like our textbook that we use. As a matter of fact, today we're going to be going into chapter 4 in the book because there are 3 questions that people want answered, and that's what we are going to do as we lay the foundation, right? Here's why. Insurance, of course, is your foundation, right? And I love this little snippet I got here. It says the importance of a firm foundation. And you can see the house there being constructed, and the first thing you'll notice that's there is a solid foundation, right? See, if the foundation is faulty, the structure, no matter what it is, will fall. Not might, not may, or could. That structure will fall. Jesus puts it this way. In the book of Luke, he says, whosoever cometh to me and heareth my sayings and doeth them, I will show you to whom he's alike. He is like a man who built his house, dug deep, laid the foundation on a rock. And when the flood arose, right, when life happened, right, when the stream beat vehemently, that means with great force, upon that house and could not shake that house because it was founded upon a rock. But he who hears and do it not is like the man who, without a foundation, built a house on the earth, on sand or dirt, whatever you want to call it, right? But against that house, the streams did beat vehemently, and immediately it fell. And the ruin of that house was great. Because, of course, without the proper foundation, any structure is subject to fall. So we're laying the foundation being the life insurance. Look at it this way. These are the three questions people want to have answered, right? Chapter 4, it says, who needs insurance? All right, that's the first question, right? Who needs insurance? And if you're in chapter 4, you're reading, it simply says, anyone who has financial responsibilities that must be taken care of in life or death, such as lifestyle of a spouse or their children, or even if they're taking care of elderly parents, anyone that's dependent upon that insured's income. Anyone who has a mortgage obligation that they would like to have paid off. If you have kids that you expect to educate while you're alive, you would still want them educated in your debt, right? If you have anyone that has different debt obligations that they want paid off, so you don't want to be like Papa was Rolling Stone and all he left us was a loan, L-O-A-N. You don't leave your family a bunch of debt, right? So you cover those. And then, of course, anyone who wants or expects to have a decent burial or funeral. That's what combined all of those things that we just talked about give you a need for life insurance, right? And then, of course, the second question is, well, how much life insurance do I really need to properly protect my family? So for that, we're going to use one simple thing. We have a formula called the dime formula. This is what we're going to be using to show a family exactly how much insurance, or give a great estimate of how much insurance they will need to put together for all of the different things we talked about. And we'll see that the dime covers your debt and your debt, D-E-A-T-H, if you die, you want to be properly buried. And then, of course, if you have bills and stuff left behind, you want those debts paid off. It's going to talk about your income. See, most people, again, still fail to realize that our greatest asset is our ability to earn more money in the future. No one can calculate that, right? You might be like, again, one idea from becoming a multimillionaire. People do it all the time, right? And so you want to cover that income. We're going to show you how to do that. Then, of course, if you have a mortgage obligation and you want that mortgage paid off, we're going to show you how to use the decreasing term insurance to cover that. And then, of course, if you have educational expenses and other expenses, extra expenses associated with educating your kids or stuff like that, we're going to show you how to use all those things together. The dime formula will give you a great estimate of how to do it. So we'll do a little bit of a personal look at that to show you how the dime works. Now, let's say you're sitting out with a family, right? And they're asking you, well, how much insurance do we really need? And it's really good when you sit down with families that already have insurance, because most American families are over premiumed and underprotected. If they have whole life policies, you're going to be able to show them in great detail how what they have is inadequate, but also how they can have what they need and still save money in comparison to spending it on whole life insurance. So let's say I sit down with John and Mary. They have 4 or 5 kids, right? They're both employed, working. They're doing what they believe to be right. They had a policy that covers John for $25,000 or so. We're sitting down with this family, and of course we're saying, look, the foundation is the life insurance. Let me show you how to calculate. So we say, okay, John and Mary, I want you guys to give me answers to these questions. Give me an idea of what I will be showing you as far as how much protection you need. So Mary, if John was to die, how much would you spend on a funeral? Let's say she says $15,000. Okay, so you need $15,000 to properly bury. You believe that'll be a good enough funeral? Okay. John, if Mary died, how much would you need on her to cover a funeral? How much would you spend on a funeral? John, of course, the men are cheaper than women. He says $12,000. So John's going to spend $12,000. Mary's going to spend $15,000. We add that to our calculator, right? And so now, Mary, both you guys are breadwinners. If John was to die, how much of his income would you like to continue to receive? Well, of course, she's going to say, I want 100% of it, right? So, John, how much are you making right now? John is making $65,000 per year, all right? So what we're going to do, we're going to simply multiply that by 12, right? So 12 times 65,000, that's $780,000 we'll need just to protect John's income, because we could take that debt claim, invest it, and draw the interest every year to replace his income. And we'll talk about that when we start doing investment calculations. So John, if Mary was to die, how much of her income would you like to continue coming in her absence? Well, John wants 100%. So Mary's working and she's making $50,000 a year. So 12 times that 50,000 means we're going to need $600,000 to replace Mary's income. So we asked about debt. Do you guys have any debt, any auto loans or stuff? So combined, they have about $75,000 in debts that they want to pay off that car. They want to pay off the truck. They want to pay off a few other little credit cards and stuff like that. So the person left behind doesn't have to continue to pay all of those debts. And then, of course, now we're going to talk about the mortgage. Now, you guys have a beautiful home here. So if John was to die, Mary, would you like the mortgage paid off? Absolutely. You want to own a house. And John, if Mary was to die, would you want the house paid off? Absolutely want. So now the value or the balance of the house is $412,000. We still owe a $412,000 debt on this mortgage. So we're going to cover that with our decreasing term insurance to make sure that in the event of one of the guys that's making the money, the breadwinners die, that insurance pays for that mortgage. And that's one less bill we have for the people that's left behind. And so now all we do, we say, look, you guys got, let's say 2 or 3 kids. Let's do 2 kids, easy number. You got 2 kids expected to do 4 years of college. Let's say the average year tuition is $10,000. So you're looking at $40,000 per kid for those 4 years. Add that up, that's $80,000 you need to protect for education and any expenses like that. So now you've got your debt, the funeral costs, you've got your debts, the car notes and all that stuff added up. You have your income being replaced, and then you have education for the kids. We add all that up. On John's side, we need $1.35 million. And on Mary's side, we need $1.1 million. Now, when was the last time someone came into your house and sat down and showed you that simple calculation for giving you the peace of mind of knowing? Because now if you got the 1.3 on John and the 1.1 on Mary, and something unfortunately happens, even though, think about it, we've read this a million times on the back of the book, right? Have you ever wondered why some families experience the death of a loved one, and though they are emotionally and physically hurting, they remain financially whole? Then there are those who suffer the same loss of a loved one, yet they are not only suffering the emotional and physical pains, but also financial devastation. Is this an accident? And of course, we've answered that question before. No, it is not. But think about it. Whole life, for you to actually purchase $1.3 million of whole life insurance, you're looking at more than your annual income because it's an expensive product, right? They're bundling your insurance with, of course, your investments. That's the wrong way to go. So we know we're coming and we're bringing value to the table because we're showing people how to calculate exactly what they need. Will they always be able to purchase what they need? That's up to that family and their commitment to doing it. But when you're able to show them, right, doing the right thing 100% of the time is going to pay off in the long run, right? People know you're not just trying to sell them something. But the problem that they have is that they're underinsured. We're showing them how they can be properly insured. And so now we've got the dime in place. We've answered why they need insurance, who needs insurance, and we just answered how much insurance they need. And then the third question that a lot of people are confused about, I'm going to go back to chapter 4, and that third question is this simple question right here. Is life insurance a permanent need, as many has tried to convince us, right? And so what we do to explain that is a simple thing called the theory of decreasing responsibility. To answer that question, and you can answer for yourself, but the theory of decreasing responsibility is a very simple theory, even though it's, to me, law, because if you was right, it's always going to work. But it says in your early years, you're going to need a lot of protection because most of us don't start off unless we were born into a family that's independently wealthy. Most of us we have to start careers and earn money and save money and invest money, and we grow wealth over time. And so in the early years, we need a lot of protection because we don't have all of the money that we will have in the future. But a surety is that you're going to get older, and your need for insurance, believe it or not, should decrease because your need for money is absolutely going to increase. What you're going to need in retirement won't be insurance. You can't live off an insurance policy. It's only if you die. but you're going to need money. So we show a family how to take the money, invest it early, let that money start to grow, and protect yourself, and over time decrease it. Now, how can we decrease it? Because think about it. In your early years, you're having kids, you're buying houses, you're investing, you're doing things where you're absolutely in a vulnerable position. You need the insurance. But for instance, my youngest son, Ashton, is right there behind the camera, right? And Ashton at one point was one of my dependents. He depended on me, right? But now Ashton is grown and gone. He's on his own, right? He has kids of his own, my grandkids. And if I were to die today, Ashton's life wouldn't be affected other than the fact that hopefully he would miss his dad, right? He wouldn't have nobody to do this great podcast with. But financially, Ashton remains whole because I no longer depend on him. He no longer depends on me, right? So my responsibility as far as my kids has decreased. But now as I'm getting older, I'm now in my 60s and looking forward to those golden ages, what I need now is money. And that's how life works, right? And so when you're able to go out and help a family, put together a plan that properly protects them now, but also shows them how to eliminate that and save money so that in the future they have money, you have done a great service to this family. As a matter of fact, I'm thinking about, I just come from a funeral service this past week. One of the people that actually helped me build my Primerica business, great friend of mine, a lady in New Orleans East, who at the time I met her, she was a nurse working for the VA. She had young kids, right? She was a single mom, divorcee. The dad was still in the picture, but of course not really in the picture. And so she had all these responsibilities. And when I met her, she only had group insurance through the VA. She only had insurance on her job, right? And it was very inadequate. We talked and we showed her, just like I just talked about, how to calculate the amount of insurance she needed, so that if something happened to her, her 4 boys and her 3 girls, that's a lot of kids, right? 7 kids, were all going to be taken care of. Of course, they were getting older. She was already in her 50s. Her kids were now in their 20s and going. And so we talked about a plan. She implemented the plans. And then she also, because she saw, like I said, she saw how simple I made it. And she joined us in business. She actually became one of my best division leaders, right? And worked many years with us and did some great things in Primerica. But she lost her life this past week, a week before last. They had the services this week. She was 92 years old, right? Lived a long, prosperous life. But I lived to see everything we talked about come to fruition for her. Because, of course, when she died, she owned multiple properties. All those properties were paid off debt-free. She owned a little land. She had great retirement investments where that she was living on that would be left to her families. And, of course, she had eliminated the need for insurance, right? She had money for burial and all those things. She left all her kids a nice little something. But because she executed the plan that we put in place way back in the 80s, right? When she died, everything that she wanted to be done, was taken care of. That's what you want to be able to sit back and talk about. And of course, I'm enjoying not the fact that she's gone, but the fact that what we put together actually worked for her. And her family, when we went, she was just like family to me. We had a great time of celebration because even though, like we said, the family misses her physically, they miss her emotionally, they don't miss her financially, right? She did everything right, the right way, to make sure that whether she lived or whether she died, everybody remained whole. And we was able to help her do that. So I'm excited about the fact that you're going to be able to do and be able to tell those type of stories as you go into your career. Primerica is here to help families, right? And so next week we're going to be going into some what I call boss moves, right? These are designed to help you grow your business, and I'm going to show you how we do that. Myron Golden's book, The Boss Moves, we're going to be using. But of course, we want to end with our weekly quote of the week, and this quote of the week is really good. I like it, and it's of course one of the things I want to hopefully I do strive to. When writing the story of your life, don't let anyone else control the pen. I'll say that again. When writing the story of your life, do not let anyone else control the pen. Write your own narrative. Write your own story, right? Go out and do the things, because again, if you do the right thing long enough, I say this week in, I say it week out, you will get the right results, right? Don't stop when you're in the season of seeding, right? It's seed time. We're planting seeds. We're learning. We're gathering information. We're becoming more competent. And then, of course, as we go out and we share, we'll see that those seeds, right, become just you can't number the number of people that you will affect as you go out and start to help families. So again, as we close, I am proud to be your partner in building your success, right? And I will see you at the TOP, because the TOP is the place to be. I'm Glenn Boyd. I will see you on our next episode. God bless.